All right, everyone. Hope you all like your schedules. Hope you like the primetime games we gave you. Best of luck, everyone. Have a great 2023 season. Hey, wait, what about us? Where's our primetime game? Oh, the Falcons. You guys play in London versus the Jags. No. We want a primetime game. Like, we want to play at night where everyone's watching only the Falcons. Oh, you want a primetime game? Like, you want to play at night? A primetime game. Come on, where's our primetime game? I want to know. We can have just one.
Trips him up there, and the body is down, obviously.
Yep.
Whoops. I guess we forgot to give you a primetime game. Sorry, guys. We'll come back to you with that one. We'll think of a primetime game. Shit. What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown. And if you're new here, welcome. And not only are we about to have seemingly one of the more anticipated video topics every year. You guys seem to tune into the schedule predictions every year. And here's the first of hopefully many for this year. But, Archangel asked this not long ago. Are there any other content creators you'd like to bring in? Well, I didn't want to say anything, but there was one that I always had thought about bringing in, and now here he is. ATL Will has joined Rise Up Rundown. How are you doing, Will?
I'm good. I appreciate it. For sure.
I knew this dude was legit when on Twitter he was interviewing someone, but he was talking about how someone, he didn't say where he worked, but he saw Desmond Ritter downtown, and he basically was almost just kind of like saying, yeah, I can't wait to see you play for the Falcons. And then Ritter kind of hinted that he's basically about to start. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I feel like this is going to age well. And then right away, Desmond Ritter starts. And I'm like, okay, so ATL Will is absolutely legit. And so I'm excited to bring in someone that I think his takes are going to be very well. And I think you guys will thoroughly enjoy with whatever he says. And if you're not following him right now, you're making a mistake. You have to follow him on TikTok, Twitter, wherever you
I'm on YouTube, by the way. No one really knows I'm on YouTube. I don't even have not even 900 something subscribers. So go follow me on YouTube, ATL Will.
All right. So for this video, it's mostly what we've been doing in the past, but for every prediction, since Will is the guest, we'll have him predict how the game is going to go first, and then I'll explain. So, for example, he'll explain what he thinks is going to happen week 1 versus the Panthers, and then I'll explain, and then I'll start tallying up what we got, and then in the end, I'll say what we both predict. And without further ado, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. Week 1 versus the Panthers. What do you think?
Yeah, and since they're at home, and as long as the energy is right in the stadium, and if it's Andy Dalton or Bryce Young, either way, I think it's going to be a win. And I think this is going to be one of those cases how last year, week 1, we're at home. Like I said, the energy's right. Everyone's actually into it because it's the start of a new season, except this time we're not going to choke it away. And we've learned our lesson. So I think this is going to be one of the better wins of the season. So I'll give it to us.
I guess I'm not sure if I'm like in the minority for this one, but I do have a loss week 1, only because the Falcons really have not been great to start the season as of late. It seems like I'm not really sure what it is, but our last season opener win was 2017, and I'm hoping this is the win. I know the Panthers are fairly young with Bryce Young and a new coaching staff, but I guess I'm kind of going to believe it when I see it when it comes to a Falcons week 1 win. But I guess I'll count that as a loss.
Well, there was a point in time where Matt Ryan had won like 10 straight home openers, and now it's just like we haven't had one in forever. And like usually, like back in the day, like it was guaranteed win, home opener, no doubt. But like now, it's like I don't even know if we could beat the Panthers. So like I completely understand your prediction on that one.
Yeah, I guess a change of quarterback was always going to be kind of a little bit of a transition.
Yeah.
um, week 2, we stay at home versus Green Bay, and instead of Aaron Rodgers, it's Jordan Love. How are you feeling?
Uh, it could go either way. But like I said, since it's early and we're riding momentum, and this is just like my prediction, I would give it to the Falcons as long, like I said, if we roll with what we started week 1, the fans show up to the game, everyone's energy is into it, we're all meshing really well. I mean, back-to-back home games, like that's fantastic. So I'll give that one to the Falcons.
I'm with you on that. I got the Falcons winning this too. I think Jordan Love, I mean, he has potential, but early on in the season, I think he is going to have to learn some stuff. And also, like you said, like the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I assume is going to be rocking and making some noise. So I'm with you on that one. I think week 2 should be a win.
Yeah, I agree.
A little bit of a challenge week 3 at
Oh,
Detroit.
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and give that one to the Lions. That's a loss. They're a hard fought football team. They're like us, but like the future version of us, where we're located at now, like how we are as a team, is how they were last year. And this upcoming year, they're a season ahead of us. That's what I like to imagine with that team. They're very similar with how hard fought they are and what they focus on. But we're a little behind them right now. Maybe next year we'll get them. But I'll give it to the Lions.
Everything you say is basically how I feel. They're a bit of a week or a year ahead of us. And also, it's our first road game of the year. Probably going to be a bit of a transition. And, Detroit's defense should be pretty scary, but that offense is what I'm mostly concerned about. It looks like Dan Campbell's got something going there, both on the field and off the field. So a win here would be nice, but I am going to have to say that this is a loss.
Yep.
Another tough one, week 4. We have to go to London to face the Jags.
Yeah, this one, this could go in our favor. I could see it going either way, and I'm not even trying to be biased on that. I think we looked out getting the Jaguars in London because, like, we don't know how they're going to be in London. It's more about how you prepare, which they're the Jaguars. They've been to London billions of times, and luckily we have recently too, a couple of times in 2014, and no one's on the team since then. Maybe Jake Matthews, but 2014 and 21. It could be an advantage considering they're not at home either, and it's a neutral field. But with that said, I'm gonna go the Jaguars. I'll just give it to them. This is most likely going to be a loss, but maybe we'll look out and take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, it is. It's always a little hard to tell with a neutral field. The Jags have been to London plenty of times, so this is honestly nothing new for them. The Falcons went to London sort of recently, not last year, but the year before. It was like kind of the same squad, just a little different, but it's a neutral field. It really could go either way. But unfortunately, I think the Jags are heading in a pretty good direction. And that experience in London, I think, will help them out at least a little bit. So I'm with you on that one. I'll have to go give that one to the Jags.
Yeah. Which I will say, if the Falcons did pull this one out, that would be the statement win of the year. And if they were able to win that game, then I would feel really confident about the direction they're heading in this season. And if they could really focus on winning that game, dude, it would be great. That would be the cherry on top.
Absolutely agree. That would be all eyes would be on the Falcons if they win that one, I think.
Yeah.
And also, if we could pull off a win to Detroit and to the Jaguars, that's when you kind of start looking at the Falcons a little differently.
Yeah,
but hopefully we can do this.
It'd be crazy.
I think we can sort of turn things around here, though. Week 5 is versus the Texans. How are you feeling?
I'll give that one to the Falcons. They're young. Not saying they're not a good team because they are. They could definitely win it. I don't like to underestimate anybody. So I'll give it to the Falcons. Hopefully CJ Stroud's not starting, but I guess we'll see that day.
Yeah, I'm the same. Never overlook anyone. The Texans did ultimately improve. Now, if this was last year, and I'm, no disrespect to the Texans, but I think this would have been a lot easier last year than it would be this year, only because they didn't have CJ Stroud and Will Anderson, but now they do. And I'm assuming that is going to help them improve. And I mean, I'm not expecting them to take like a giant leap forward in 2023, but they definitely aren't to be overlooked. But ultimately, Texans, I guess we're kind of the Lions with the Texans. I think we're maybe a year ahead or so. Ahead of the Texans.
Exactly. I think that's a good analogy on that one.
Yeah, maybe a little more than a year, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Week 6 versus the Commanders. Could maybe go either way. Maybe.
I think this might be one of the easiest games of the year. Like, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and this looks like the most surefire game. We have Taylor Heineke. He knows like the whole playbook. And
True.
As far as like how their team is built, like we almost beat them last year when we were like at our weakest, and like I think this is probably the easiest pick for me out of this whole schedule. I'm going to go the Falcons. They're at home too, not even playing in the rain like they were last year.
Yeah, I can honestly agree with that. I think this could be a dub. It's said that like both last year and the year before, we somehow fell short to that team, but
I don't know.
We, except for those 2 years, we seem to play well against Washington. It's a home game, and I didn't even think about the fact that Taylor Heineke knows that team well. That's actually I didn't even think about that. That's a great point.
And he's not playing for him. He's the guy that beat us the last 2 times we played him. Like,
I agree.
To have him.
Probably, without spoiling who I think is the easiest win for us, I think the Commanders is around maybe the second easiest team that I think we could beat. Again, you don't want to overlook them, but I think we should be just fine.
Yeah, I agree.
We travel to Tampa Bay. No Tom Brady, but still a divisional rival.
Yep.
How are you feeling?
I'm going to go Falcons. And if you want to pick the Commanders, I would respect you for that, because like anytime you are going against a divisional opponent, even if it's the Buccaneers, it's going to be a dogfight. And I'm going to give it to the Falcons. But I just think that game last year, the last game versus the Bucs, the way we were able to turn it up on them, I think Ritter's going to be riding a lot of confidence in this game, and he's familiar with them. He's already played them before, so I'll give it to him.
Unfortunately, I was there in person to witness the Grady Jarrett roughing the passer call. Yeah, that was.
I was upset.
Yeah, sure. We still had to drive down the field and score, but I think things were pretty favorable, even with Marcus Mariota in. And like you said, Desmond Ridder knows this team a little bit. Now, I'm only going to put a loss only because I think a divisional rival usually is like, it's like you never really know who's going to win. It's almost like split every year. And I'm not really sure if I think that Todd Bowles makes a great head coach, but I do still think that there's still at least a little bit of that Bucs talent that I think people are kind of sleeping on a little bit. And I know they don't have Tom Brady, but Tampa sports have been pretty good. And I can't imagine that the home field, I don't think that Bucs fans are just going to suddenly go away now that Tom Brady's gone.
And I think at this point in the season, they're not going to have many games won. And then they're going to see the Falcons on the schedule, and they're going to be like, we need to turn up for this one. Let's really lock in this week. And they could get us because they're actually like, we need to win one here, guys. So that could happen. Divisional, it does worry me, but I still feel comfortable taking the Falcons.
All right. Revenge game for Arthur Smith upcoming. Week 8 versus the Titans.
Yeah. I really genuinely don't think the Tennessee Titans are going to be good this year. Like, I do not think they're going to be good. And with that said, I'm going to take the Titans. I think they know each other really well, the two head coaches, Mike Vrabel and Arthur Smith. I think they're not going to win many games at all, but if they're going to win one out of their entire schedule, it's going to be the one versus the Falcons, and it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it will be close. And at the end of it, I think the Titans will win.
Yeah, this is the game. I sort of go so back and forth with this. When I've made my schedule predictions on TikTok, I mean, I was like sort of joking about it, but at the same time, like I was like, I don't know. I think the Titans are gonna want at least a little bit of that revenge versus Arthur Smith, because I think the
Yeah.
Falcons are heading in a bit of a better direction than the Titans. But with that being said, even though I'm not predicting the Titans to go as far as they usually have in years past, I can totally agree that I think the Titans have a little bit more of that. Not really sure what the word is, but I just whatever you said is kind of how I've been feeling too. And a
Yeah.
Falcons win would not surprise me. I know I said
Yeah.
on Twitter that this would be the only game prediction I would change, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Just looking at this game, I really don't think a Titans upset would be all that surprising.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Week 9 versus the Vikings. Probably going to be a little tough. What do you
For
think?
sure. I'll give that one to the Vikings. I know they're kind of falling off a cliff right now, and they're kind of proceeding in the wrong direction. And trading away their linebacker and then possibly even Dalvin Cook. And I feel like they're just aging. Like the entire roster is aging, other than Justin Jefferson and maybe a couple of other players. But this will be the game where like their experience is going to outdo our experience. So I'll give it to the Vikings.
Yep, totally agree. Vikings, I mean, I don't think they'll be, they're not going to drop off terribly, but I really don't see them as a playoff team next year. I think I don't know.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins can really only take you so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
For
he's
sure.
a good quarterback, but I think the Vikings probably at this point think they could do a little better. And like you said, there's a lot of aging veterans. I mean, they got some playmakers still, which is ultimately why I'll take the Vikings, only because there's more experience and there's more playmakers. Yeah, sure, the Falcons are home, but I don't know. The Vikings, honestly, I'll also be right. I think the Vikings just kind of have our number as of late. But
I don't remember the last time we beaten the Vikings. As long as I've been a fan, I don't think I've ever seen them beat the Vikings. Ever.
but we've had a miraculous 2020 upset when Dan Quinn was fired, and then that was about it. Yeah.
See, I completely forgot about that game. That was like AJ Terrell's first pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's coming back to me.
Other
That's
than
crazy.
that, man, it's almost like the Vikings are like our kryptonite. I don't know what it is with the Vikings. It's so sad how we fell off, because we used to beat them with like Mike Vick, and then our first Super Bowl appearance we had to get past the Vikings, and then now the Vikings took that personally or something. But
yeah, I don't blame them.
yeah, I don't blame them either. So this was the game that I said was the easiest on our schedule, was at Arizona. But I'm interested to hear what you think.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cardinals. And shockingly enough, I don't think they're that bad of a team that everyone's making them out to be. If Kyler Murray's healthy, Kyler Murray is actually a really lethal threat. And depending on how they're coached, how their offensive coordinator is, if they can mesh really well, we're going to have a hard time getting to Kyler Murray. And this scenario, going out west, and then after a 3-game losing streak, it could hurt us, and we're just going to be ready to go into that bye week in week 11. So I'm going to give it to the Cardinals, shockingly enough.
All right. It's certainly possible. I like Kyler Murray a lot. And sure, the Cardinals do have a lot of needs to address, but like you said, they're really not this. I don't think people are, truly looking at them correctly, even though I went off and said that this is the easiest game on our schedule. And I will ultimately say the Falcons win. I don't think that there's going to be a cakewalk. I think the Cardinals do have some talent to watch out for, especially with Kyler Murray. And, I think I guess we'll see what happens, but I assume they're looking and buying into their new head coach now that Cliff Kingsbury's gone. And
I'm going to go out on record and say this will be the heartbreaker of the year. This is going to come down to a devastating loss. Something's going to happen in this game for us to lose, and this is going to be the low point of the season.
Yeah,
Bold
It's
prediction.
certainly not impossible. There's always that one game of the year where you're just like, oh man, like how
This
did
is
we
going to
not
be
get
that
it?
game.
I can totally envision it. For now, I'll take the win, but a win
That's
for
fair
the
enough. For sure.
Cardinals definitely would not surprise me at all. Then we have a bye week and get ready for the Saints per usual. We seem to always play them after our bye week, which I guess I'm not complaining about because it
That's
gives us
fine
time.
with me.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're home this time because we're usually on the road after the bye, but this time we're home.
Yeah.
Does it make anything too different, or is it kind of like about the same every year?
I think that if this game could get flexed to a primetime game, that would be sick because the energy that these players are going to feel playing on a Monday night, I believe it'd be flexed to Monday night, maybe Sunday night, because scheduling this year is going to be crazy. There's going to be games getting flexed every week after week, I think 10. So yeah, it'd be week 12 now. Even if it's not flexed, I'm going to give it to the Falcons coming off a bye week. They're hungry for a loss. It's Ryan Nielsen, all these former Saints players wanting to get back, Caden Ellis, David Onyemata, and then I don't know who else we got from them, but this is a revenge game for us, and we haven't beat them at home in what feels like forever, so I'll give it to the Falcons.
In my schedule predictions video on TikTok, I said that this was a loss. But I think if I had to redo this, I would count this as a win because, for one thing, and I know you can't just, look at one player on the Saints as an advantage, and you'll see a little more of what I mean. But the Falcons never really struggle against Derek Carr. They seem to usually play fairly well against him.
we destroyed them just a couple of years ago. It wasn't even close.
I didn't expect that one coming, but that's when I was like, all right, so maybe they got Derek Carr's number, I think.
Yeah, I'm not scared of that guy whatsoever.
I like Derek Carr. I just kind of think that outside the field, I'm like, all right, he seems like a genuine person.
Yeah,
but as a football player, I won't hide the fact and say, yeah, the Saints could probably do a little better.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, all due respect to Derek Carr, Falcons do seem to play well against him, and I don't know what it is with the Saints giving us their best guys like Terry Fontenot and Ryan Nielsen. And then they gave us David Onyemata. They like to give us their best players for some reason and best guys.
Caden Ellis is going to be that guy this year. People are sleeping on him because I remember last year, I keep up with the Saints. I keep up with their fans, how they talk. And because I'm like a spy in there, I'm like just watching everything that they do. And they love Caden Ellis. Boy, when I tell you they were livid, they were so pissed that they were giving him up to the division rival. And he's going to go so crazy this year. And hopefully he goes crazy against them. So they really.
I can't imagine he won't. I can't imagine he won't. I imagine against his former team, there's a little bit of that revenge factor there.
No, you didn't want to pay me? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll go to this team.
Exactly. I was thinking that too. It's like, you didn't want to keep me? Okay, I'll show you your loss. Same with David Onyemata, Ryan Nielsen, so many of them. It's like the Saints, I don't want to say that they're not talented, but man, at some point, having to use up all the cap space they had was going to get to them at some point. And I think it's kind of showing this year. Yeah, it's for sure showing this year. And also going back to what you said about how they're hungry after a loss, like a stinger versus the Cardinals. I can agree that they're a lot hungrier, especially versus a division rival. So yeah, I'll have to go with the win here. And after that is probably the hardest quarterback we're facing. Maybe we have to play Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those games that you predict now, and then when the game comes, you're going to look back at this prediction like, why the hell did I pick that? Because the Jets could actually suck, and no one's taking that into account. They could be like the Broncos of last year. If they don't mesh well, the personalities in their locker room, I feel aren't really sustained for future success later in the season. I'm still going to give it to the Jets here, but I feel like this take could actually age wrongly, just depending on how their season plays out. Because they're really an unknown, but since it's Aaron freaking Rodgers, and I'll give it to him.
I'm feeling the exact same way. This team could suck, and no one wants to admit it, but they really could. I mean, this, I don't want to say it gives me the 2022 Broncos vibes, but man, it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up being the same. I like Robert Salah, but I'm not sure if I'm sold on him fully, I guess. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if because he's sort of like taking charge of the team, but the Jets just acquired him. It's like kind of weird.
I'm not even sure who their offensive coordinator is, but if he doesn't mesh well with Rodgers, they're going to suck. Oh, it's Nathaniel Hackett. I'm tripping. They're going to be just fine. Nathaniel Hackett has been there with Aaron Rodgers before, I think, right? He was he's Packers guy.
Kind of like Dan Quinn to me. Like, maybe not a great head coach, but as a coordinator, I think he can light it up.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was Hackett. So they'll probably be fine. But then again, you don't know how it's truly going to work in there.
I think the Jets they're a talented team, and it is on the road. And because it's Aaron Rodgers, I will ultimately give it to them. But it's the Jets. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to be surprised if they just don't really like him, maybe they just don't really like working with him. And it really could bounce back and, haunt them. But for now, I'll give it to the Jets.
Yeah, agreed.
Week 14 versus Tampa Bay. We're home this time. How are you feeling?
I'll take the Falcons in this one. And like I said with the previous one versus the Bucks, it could definitely be hard fought, and they could definitely beat us. But by this point in the season, I think their season's going to be over, and we're going to be fighting hard to get a playoff spot. So I'll give it to the Falcons. Yeah,
same here. Not much to say. Bucks are probably going to, their season's probably going to be done at that point. Yeah. Falcons are fighting. Going to have to agree with that one. Week 15 at Carolina. This time we're not on Thursday night with Marcus Mariota on his back making weird throws. But, hey, we're at Carolina.
Yeah, this could definitely get flexed to a primetime game as well. And if it is flexed, I'm going to be scared. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, me too.
If it's not flexed, this is the turning point in our season. We're going to see what they're truly made of. And I genuinely believe in Arthur Smith and what he does offensively. And this late in the season, in the winter, the way that we run the ball, I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to stop. And we're going to prove a lot of people wrong in this game. And this is going to be the turning point in our season. So I'll give it to the Falcons.
Yep, totally agree. Prime time would scare me. But, because when the Falcons announced it, it said to be determined. And I was like, maybe they're trying to make that prime time. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But if it's prime time, I mean, I don't want to say that we can't win it if it's prime time, but it would make things a little harder, I think. But ultimately, I've always been an Arthur Smith guy. I mean, my Twitter banner literally says, "In Arthur Smith we trust." So I've always been a
Arthur Smith now. I truly trust that guy.
He's an amazing run designer, and I can't imagine he's not going to do at least something magical with Ritter late down the stretch in the season.
Yeah.
I'll have to give this to the Falcons as well. This one scares me only because of our history between them, but we're playing the Colts.
Because the Colts are so unpredictable, you really don't know how they're going to be this season. I'm going to just go out and say that they're not ready yet and that they're not going to be that good. And coming off a big couple wins division-wise, I'll just give it to the Falcons. They're at home, so I'll go ahead and give it to
them. It's just the history that really, really scares me. Because I know you want to think like this is, when I look at the Colts, I don't think they're a good team. Anthony Richardson is a rookie. I mean, I know Desmond Ritter's still young too, but Anthony Richardson, I think, is going to have some things to learn. And, I don't know. I don't look at the Colts and think that they're a good team.
Yeah.
But it's just the history and how much we struggle versus this team really makes me hesitate. Now, if we had to play them last year, And as weird as it sounds, I know this I would trigger Falcons fans, but if we played 2022 Matt Ryan on the Colts, Falcons fans don't want to hear it, but I think we would beat him. but
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure.
But different quarterback, and I know we're home. I don't know. The history scares me, and I'll have to sadly say that I think we lose. But a win here also wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and they're like I said, they're a question mark, so we could easily lose this game. But I'm just gonna say they're not quite there yet. And this also could be a breakout game for a lot of their younger guys because, like, later in the season, good time to prove something. So, but I'll still give it to them.
All right. Week 17 at Chicago. We have to play Justin Fields, that a lot of Falcons fans wanted. But
yeah,
how are you feeling?
I'm not scared of Justin Fields, like at all. Like, really, truthfully, I'm not. We handled him really well last year. And granted, their team wasn't as good as they are now. And I'm going to give it to the Falcons. I think they're going to be on a roll by this point. And late in the season, I don't think these defenses are going to be able to keep up with what we're doing running the ball. And we're just going to run some smash mouth football, and they're not going to be ready for it.
Yep, I agree. I think the Bears are, I would say they're maybe a step below where the Falcons are. Like, I like Justin Fields, but I think the hype has gone a little too far with him. And sure, yes, the Bears have made some good moves. They brought in DJ Moore, but I'm ultimately going to have to say that I think the Falcons are probably going to run away with this. This, to me, is one of the easier games on our schedule. I don't want to overlook them, but I don't know. I'm not too scared of them. And yeah, it's on the road, but I don't know. I'm not too worried about this one.
Yeah.
We finish out the year hopefully strong and give heartbreak to Saints fans that paid tickets to this game. But how are you feeling?
I'll give it to the Saints because, I don't think the Saints are going to make the playoffs this year, and I think they're probably going to be more than likely eliminated, have nothing to lose, and plus it's a division rival. These guys just beat you a couple weeks ago, so, like, why not give it everything you got and stop the Falcons from running the ball and just make them lose? And I think we're going to end the season pretty sadly to the Saints, but I think we'll make the playoffs. So I'll give it to the Saints.
I'll give it to the Falcons. And, I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. Now, yes, I know that it's the final week of the season. You never know if they're going to rest any starters or whatnot, or I don't know, just something crazy late in the season. But nonetheless, it's a divisional game. And the Falcons, as of late, have been sort of okay in New Orleans. They've had their fair share of struggles, but we shouldn't have kept it close in 2021. Thankfully, we still won. I think we should be all right in this game. A loss here wouldn't surprise me because, the Saints, I don't know if they're a playoff team, but I'm not going to imagine that they're just going to look at this game and not try. And, I think they're going to want to at least try and win this one, even if they aren't making it.
For sure.
But ultimately, I'll give this to the Falcons because I think they're just, I don't know. I think they're the better team.
Yeah, I think they're the better team too. And I'm kind of looking at my schedule prediction, and I kind of wish I could switch the Bears game and the Saints game. I think that the Bears could beat us. Like I said, I'm not really scared of Justin Fields. We've handled him before, but they truly have improved. They could get us. And then if we do lose to the Bears, I think that prompts us to push for a playoff spot and play as hard as we can versus the Saints to make the playoffs. And hopefully they don't push us out. So, they could be the opposite, but I'll stick with my picks.
All right. So in the end, I think you started counting too, but I think you had 10-7. Is that what you got too?
10-7. We ended up going 7-1 at home, and then 3-6 away, which is not a very good away record. But hey, 7-1 at home is pretty damn impressive. So I'll take it. 10-7 and 5-1 in the division. I think that's pretty accurate.
I honestly think for the most part, hopefully the fans can agree, but I think these are pretty fair predictions. I think the Falcons at best probably are a 10-win team.
Yeah.
And considering the NFC and how a little bit weaker it is than the AFC, I think that should be good enough for a playoff spot, somewhere around there. I think the Falcons have made some good enough moves to at least be considered a playoff team. Now, a Super Bowl team, I think we're still a little ways away, but playoffs at 10 or 9 wins, even, I think that should be good enough. Should be. But ultimately, I think these are fair predictions. And yeah, 7-1 at home, I think is pretty accurate. I think that's what we were last year, I think, right? 7-1 at home, somewhere around there.
It was the best record we've had at home ever in Mercedes-Benz history. So it's pretty damn good record. So maybe they'll do it again.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to be a juggernaut at home, but we do have to be we have to be better on the road. But ultimately, hopefully it's good enough for playoffs, and even more importantly, hopefully fans can agree.
Yeah, and I think it truly is realistic. And I think they win the division with the 10-7 record, and I think they win it by week 17.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think that Bears game is when they clinch, and the other teams are at like 8 wins, 7 wins. And I mean, the Panthers are so young, so I'm not counting them out, but I truly don't think they're going to be that good. So I think they win the division by week 17.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And Will, I know we sort of plugged you already in the beginning, but is there anywhere else these guys can follow you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I have a link tree on my Twitter, and you can follow me on TikTok and YouTube. And then you can find my Instagram from my TikTok if you want to get into my personal life. So go out and do that, everybody. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for joining, Will. We really appreciated it. And look forward to what the Falcons can do. And I also look forward to your content. Keep up the great work, buddy.
Of course. Appreciate it, man. You too.
All right. And for everyone else, stay safe and rise up.
Rise up.